Israel prepares to worship the Antichrist, Daniel's prophecy. What I am about to reveal will change how you see current world events forever. The Abomination of Desolation? What if Jesus himself warned us about an event so terrifying that when it happens, people should literally drop everything and run for their lives? Here's what most people don't realize. Jesus clearly referenced a future event in Daniel 9:27 when speaking about the Abomination of Desolation in the Olivet Discourse. But here's where it gets interesting and disturbing. In Matthew 24:15-16, Jesus says, "So when you see the abomination of desolation, the appalling sacrilege that astonishes and makes desolate, spoken of by the prophet Daniel, standing in the holy place, let the reader understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains for refuge." But what could be so horrifying that Jesus would tell people to run without looking back? Stay with me, because what you're about to discover will connect dots you never knew existed. Now, here's something that will blow your mind about the book you might think you know. The Bible is a history book, but it is unique in comparison to any other history book found in public libraries. It covers the entire history of the earth, starting from its creation to its end. No other history book has been published, which covers such a wide range of events on our planet. This is partly because nobody was present at the beginning to witness and document it, and thus nobody can write about the beginning of our world authoritatively. But here's the incredible part that most people miss. We are the only ones in the world who know how it will all end, which is truly unique. Think about that for a moment. While world leaders scramble to predict what's coming next, we already have the blueprint. The Lord didn't reveal the future just to satisfy our curiosity, but rather to prepare us for what's to come, so that we won't be caught off guard or misunderstand it. It's important to be grateful that Jesus shared this knowledge with us so openly and honestly. But are we really paying attention to what he told us? Jesus instructed us to remain watchful and prayerful. But what should we watch out for? This is where most people get it completely wrong. We cannot just stand idle and gaze at the clouds, waiting for him to appear. That's not what he meant. Instead, he meant that we should keep track of the happenings in the world and recognize the signs that he provided to help us prepare. Now, here's where the story takes a dramatic turn. In Matthew chapter 24, the disciples asked Jesus about the signs of his return. They wanted to know what to do if they didn't know when it would happen. Jesus gave a direct and clear answer, which we can be grateful for. In the book of Revelation, he provides a more detailed response. But in this chapter, he gave a brief summary of the signs that would precede his arrival. Picture this scene. The disciples came to Jesus secretly while he was sitting on the Mount of Olives, and Jesus spoke about the Abomination of Desolation. But here's the million-dollar question. What is this abomination? And when can we expect this? The answer will shock you. Jesus warned that an event would occur in the temple that would cause people to detest and feel disgust or hatred. But it gets worse. This event would lead to complete emptiness or destruction, also known as desolation. When this happens, the residents of Judea should seek cover without delay. Imagine something so appalling that Jesus says, "Run, don't pack, don't look back, just run." Different translations refer to this event as the abomination that causes desolation, the sacrilegious object that causes desecration, or that horrible thing. The Amplified Bible explains that the abomination of desolation is the appalling sacrilege that astonishes and makes desolate. But there's more to this story. Much more. Jesus referenced Daniel in his words in the Olivet Discourse. Now, let me take you back in time to unlock a mystery that's been hidden for centuries. During a particular moment, Daniel had a realization that the 70 years of captivity were about to end. While he was praying, Gabriel, who was caused to fly swiftly, arrived at that moment, around the time of the evening sacrifice. Gabriel informed Daniel that he was greatly beloved, but what Gabriel revealed next would change everything. He then gave Daniel an outline of the future history of the Jewish nation, using the figure of 70 weeks. Each week represented 7 years. Here's where the puzzle pieces start coming together, and what you're about to learn will connect current events in ways that will amaze you. The prophet Daniel mentioned the Abomination of Desolation in 3 places, and each one reveals a different piece of this terrifying puzzle. First, Daniel 9:27. And he will enter into a binding and irrevocable covenant with the many for 1 week, 7 years. But in the middle of the week, he will stop the sacrifice and grain offering for the remaining 3.5 years, and on the wing of abominations will come one who makes desolate, even until the complete destruction, one that is decreed, is poured out on the one who causes the horror. Notice something chilling here? Someone makes a covenant, then breaks it. But who is he? Second, Daniel 11:31. Armed forces of his will arise in Jerusalem and defile and desecrate the sanctuary, the spiritual stronghold, and will do away with the regular sacrifice, that is, the daily burnt offering. And they will set up a pagan altar in the sanctuary, which is the Abomination of Desolation. Armed forces in Jerusalem, defiling the sanctuary. Are you starting to see the pattern? The third time we see this abomination in the book of Daniel is Daniel 12:11. From the time that the regular sacrifice, that is, the daily burnt offering, is taken away, and the Abomination of Desolation is set up, ruining the temple for worship of the true God. There will be 1,290 days. Exactly 1,290 days. God is precise. He's giving us a countdown. The final revelation. Here's what will leave you speechless. The phrasing of some translations suggests that the Abomination of Desolation is an object, while in others it appears to be a person. For instance, on the wing of abominations shall come one who makes desolate. Daniel 9:27. Is it a thing or is it someone? What if it's both? Regardless of whether the Abomination of Desolation is a person or a thing, Daniel predicted the following. And what he predicted will send chills down your spine. The 5 shocking predictions that are about to unfold. First, in the future, a leader will make a treaty with the people of Israel. But here's what most people miss. This isn't just any treaty. Second, the duration of this treaty will be 1 week, which we take to be a period of 7 years. 7 years. Remember that number. It's going to become critically important. Third, halfway through this period, the king will gather his army and put an end to the sacrifices and offerings in the temple. At the 3.5-year mark, everything changes. The mask comes off. Fourth, during that time, the ruler will profane the temple by placing an abomination in it. What could be so evil that God calls it an abomination? Fifth, the desecration of the temple will continue until God's judgment falls upon the ruler and his followers. 1,290 days, 3.5 years, and 1 month later. God is keeping a precise countdown. Every single day matters. Now, here's where history becomes prophecy's rehearsal. In 167 BC, the prophecies of Daniel about the Abomination of Desolation appeared to have a partial fulfillment. A Greek ruler named Antiochus IV desecrated the temple in Jerusalem by calling himself Epiphanes, illustrious one, or God manifest. But what he did next was so horrific, it became the blueprint for something far worse to come. He set up an altar to Zeus over the altar of burnt offering and sacrificed a pig on it. Antiochus committed many atrocities, slaughtering numerous Jews and selling others into slavery. He even issued decrees prohibiting circumcision and mandating Jews to sacrifice to pagan gods and consume pig meat. But here's the chilling part. Antiochus's actions were certainly abominable, but they did not entirely fulfill Daniel's prophecy. For instance, Antiochus did not make a 7-year covenant with Israel. Moreover, in Matthew 24, Jesus spoke of Daniel's prophecy as having a future fulfillment, even though Antiochus had committed his evil acts 200 years prior. If that was just the preview, what will the main event look like? The final fulfillment is coming. This abomination of desolation prophecy is yet to take place and will take place in the future. During the end times, Jesus referred to the Antichrist who would make a 7-year covenant with Israel, but then break it by committing sacrilege in the temple, similar to what Antiochus Epiphanes did. The abomination of desolation referred to by Jesus may be the image of the beast, which the false prophet, the right-hand man of the Antichrist, will command to be erected and worshipped. Revelation 13:14. An image that people will be forced to worship. Sound familiar from history? Of course, for Matthew 24:15 to be yet future, the temple in Jerusalem will have to be rebuilt before the tribulation begins. And guess what? Plans for that temple are already underway. And this will bring an opposition some do not understand. But there's something even more sinister at work right now. This opposition manifests itself in what I call the spirit of the Antichrist. Here's what will shock you. This, as we will see, is distinct from the one person called the Antichrist, who, in turn, is different from the many Antichrists that have arisen throughout history. There's a hierarchy of evil most people never realize exists. This spirit and these persons are explained in John's teachings. Dear children, the last hour is here. You have heard that the Antichrist is coming, and already many such Antichrists have appeared. From this we know that the last hour has come. These people left our churches, but they never really belonged with us. Otherwise, they would have stayed with us. When they left, it proved that they did not belong with us. But you are not like that, for the Holy One has given you His Spirit, and all of you know the truth. So I am writing to you not because you don't know the truth, but because you know the difference between truth and lies. And who is a liar? Anyone who says that Jesus is not the Christ. Anyone who denies the Father and the Son is an Antichrist. Anyone who denies the Son doesn't have the Father either. But anyone who acknowledges the Son has the Father also. 1 John 2:18-23. Let me clarify the true meaning of the term Antichrist. The word Christ is from the Greek word Christos, which exactly corresponds to the Hebrew word Mashiach, from which we get Messiah. So when we say Antichrist, that means anti-Messiah, not just against Jesus, but a replacement for him. With this, John referred to an individual who has captured the imagination of many people, some who don't even know the Bible. However, many are not knowledgeable about this individual known as the Antichrist. Here's the terrifying truth about his deception. While Jesus was known for his beauty and charisma, the Antichrist's personality and character will be unappealing and unpleasant. Jesus always spoke the truth, while the Antichrist would only utter falsehoods. But wait, there's a contradiction that will blow your mind. The Antichrist will look wonderful, be charming, and successful. He will be the ultimate winner and appear as an angel of light. In this sense, The Antichrist will be a satanic Messiah instead of the true Messiah, Jesus Christ. How can someone be both unappealing and irresistibly charming? That's the power of supernatural deception. In the book of 1 John 2:18, the author mentioned both the Antichrist and many Antichrists. According to the text, there is a spirit associated with the Antichrist, and this spirit will eventually lead to the emergence of the Antichrist, who will lead humanity in a rebellion against God during the end times. In other words, though the world still waits to see the ultimate revelation of the Antichrist, there are little previews of this man and his mission to come. These are the Antichrists with a little a. Look around. Do you see the previews happening now? Though we commonly call this coming world leader the Antichrist, the Bible gives him many names or titles. He is known as the man of lawlessness, the son of perdition. Don't be fooled by what they say. For that day will not come until there is a great rebellion against God, and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the one who brings destruction. Why so many names? Because one name can't contain all the evil he represents. Further in John's teaching, we read, "By this you know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is from God. And every spirit that does not confess Jesus is not from God. This is the spirit of the Antichrist, which you have heard is coming, and now it is already in the world." Now it is already in the world. That means it's here, right now. Throughout the history of mankind, many antichrists have appeared and been manifested. There is the Antichrist, a particular person. According to Scripture, at the end of this age, a powerful ruler known as the Antichrist will reign over mankind for a brief period. This represents the ultimate manifestation of evil. As the end of the age approaches, we will find ourselves increasingly battling against the intensifying spirit of the Antichrist that works through every Antichrist. The spiritual warfare is escalating. Can you feel it? Identifying marks of this spirit. John has provided us with clear indications of the spirit of the Antichrist. These signs are of significant importance. The primary characteristic of this spirit is its denial of Jesus as the Messiah, which is evident in 1 John 2:22. "Who is a liar but he that denieth that Jesus is the Christ?" And then John continues, "He is Antichrist, that denieth the Father and the Son." Here's the deception that's fooling millions. The spirit of the Antichrist doesn't deny the existence of God. Instead, it claims to be God's representative or a part of Godhead. However, it denies that the Messiah has already come, even though it may believe in the Messiah who is yet to come. Sound like any religious movements you know? The person known as Antichrist. So we see three names for the same being: the Antichrist, the man of lawlessness, and the son of perdition. And we are given one other important name in Revelation 13. This is part of the vision that John had. "Then I saw a beast rising up out of the sea. It had 7 heads and 10 horns, with 10 crowns on its horns. And written on each head were names that blasphemed God. This beast looked like a leopard, but it had the feet of a bear and the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave the beast his own power and throne and great authority. I saw that one of the heads of the beast seemed wounded beyond recovery, but the fatal wound was healed. The whole world marveled at this miracle and gave allegiance to the beast. They worshipped the dragon for giving the beast such power, and they also worshipped the beast. Who is as great as the beast? They exclaimed. Who is able to fight against him? Revelation 13, 1-4. A fatal wound, that heals. The whole world marveling. Worship. Here we see the fourth title, the beast, a person who is going to arise to whom Satan, the dragon, will impart his power. John's vision of a beast rising from the sea. In Revelation 12, John's vision mainly had heaven in view. Now the scene of his vision shifted to the earth, and in his vision, he stood on the sand of the sea. From heaven's perspective to earth's reality, John refers to this creature as a beast, not a dragon, as described in Revelation 12:3. This creature symbolizes someone distinct from Satan, represented by the dragon. Revelation 12:9. This great dragon, the ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, the one deceiving the whole world, was thrown down to the earth with all his angels. Though this beast is distinct from the dragon of Revelation 12, he is still closely identified with him. He is not the dragon, but he is like him because the dragon also had 7 heads and 10 horns. A counterfeit that looks just like the original. Satan's ultimate plan revealed. Why will Satan give his power to that person? Because this will enable that person to gain dominion over the entire human race and convince all mankind to do the one thing Satan most desires, to worship him. Everything Satan has ever done has been building to this moment. His goal has been a long-term project, which he has worked on patiently for many centuries. And now, we're living in the final phases of that plan. The pieces are falling into place. The players are taking their positions. The stage is being set. The question is, are you ready for what's coming next? An image is set up of the beast, and the whole world is commanded to worship it. Throughout history, men have often bowed down to an image of a political ruler. But this will be different. This will be supernatural. The Antichrist is also called the son of perdition, 2 Thessalonians 2:3, as was Judas. John 17:12. During my time here, I protected them by the power of the name you gave me. I guarded them so that not one was lost, except the one headed for destruction, as the scriptures foretold. The same spirit that possessed Judas will possess this man. The beast and his wound. And I saw one of his heads as if it had been mortally wounded, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world marveled and followed the beast. Imagine a leader who appears to die and comes back to life. The beast's recovery increases his fame and authority. All the world marveled and follows the beast. Twice later, Revelation 13:12 and 13:14. This recovery is mentioned in connection to the world's worship and devotion to the beast. Revelation 13:12. He exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence, and he makes the earth and those who live on it worship the first beast, whose fatal wound was healed. Here's what's terrifying. Wounded, healed. This is indeed an Antichrist who even imitates Jesus in his death and resurrection. The world will believe this, and it will add tremendously to his fame and power. Satan's ultimate counterfeit of Christ's resurrection. We then see the authority and popularity of the beast. The power of the beast will astonish the world, leading people to believe he is invincible. When people think someone is invincible, they surrender everything. According to Daniel, the speaker who has impressive speaking skills will not only use fancy language, but will also speak disrespectfully about God. The Antichrist is described as a man whose appearance was greater than his brothers. Many people will find him highly attractive because of his charm, eloquence, and striking appearance. Picture the most charismatic leader you've ever seen. Multiply that by supernatural power. The Antichrist will progress from being a regional leader to a world leader, a ruthless global tyrant, and finally, a god. From politician to dictator to deity. The beast's blasphemies. Blasphemer may be a more accurate title than Antichrist for this end-times dictator. This individual is someone who speaks out against God and opposes everything that God represents, including His name, His dwelling place, and the inhabitants of heaven. Every word from his mouth will be an assault on heaven itself. Some Roman emperors blasphemed God this way, but they did not fulfill these prophecies, even if they did prefigure their fulfillment. And he was given authority to continue for 42 months. According to biblical prophecy, the beast will be allowed to act without restraint for 42 months, which is equivalent to 3.5 years. God has set a timer. The clock is ticking.